Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? So, right, we are going to be reviewing the two videos I have on my in the description box. Why did I want to say community chat? In the description box, right? Um, this is of John Berger. So and let's spell that for you guys. John Berger is what Birger, right? Who actually worked for Fortune magazine, and it led him down this road. So first, I've watched this interview a while ago. I came up on it again, and obviously rewatched it, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely something to cover because it's the type of thing that Z speaks about. First, let's get to it. Um, John Berger goes out of his way to dismiss hypergamy, right? He really, and from my understanding, his son is same-sex loving. At least when he did the interview with Chris Williamson years ago, a couple of years ago, his son was in college, so he doesn't. His son is not reporting back to him about how insane these things are. Right, number one. So number two, um, he plays down hypergamy, and much like Dr. Richard Reeves, they really don't appreciate how much um, women care about status. Yes, the money matters, right? So he does the same thing that um, Richard Richard Reeves does. And excuse me if I said Richard Wolf earlier. Obviously, not the same Richard, but Richard Reeves does, which is like I'm certain the women, if you're a good guy and you make money and you're in this field, they're not going to turn you down. And is that the case? Yeah, for some, but obviously not enough, right? Um, John Berger also emphasizes assortative mating, and the rise of assortative mating. He obviously these people don't know about Mr. Z and Mr. Z calling it what it really is: classmate guarding by women, right? Um, but to be fair to Mr. Berger, he's also attempting to push and advocate for white collar women, right? College educated women to open up their pool, and he calls it what cross color dating, right? Sorry, cross collar dating, which is like mainly white collar women dating and potentially marrying blue collar men. But once again, just like Dr. Richard Reeves, John Berger is going out of his way to be as unoffensive to the women as humanly possible. And I get it, right? But when you do that, you kind of miss the nuance of it's the women that are the ones that are stuck here. And by the way, you could tell from his tone that he gets it and he knows, but it's the way they've been socialized. Whether it's white men, whether it's black men, these quote unquote well meaning men, both conservative and liberal, when it comes time to talk about how the women are refusing to get married and have children and are holding out for dear life for the baller ass rich white dude, right? For Chris Evans to come and save them from themselves, right? They refuse to just call it for what it is. Because for them, it sounds offensive to say, okay, ladies, right? And by the way, I should have, put this in the description also. I might, but I'm going to make reference to it. Years ago, this is like 8 years ago, Anna Kasparian covered this. And she was like, yeah, college educated women, y'all got to slow the hell up. And this is a white woman, right? So we understand what this is. Nobody wants to be offensive to the women, so nobody's calling it for what it is, right? So John Berger definitely speaks about how online dating turns dating into like this marketplace transactional type of deal. And shout out to him for saying that. And he keeps on hearing from people. He said people. We're going to correct that in a minute. He keeps on hearing from people this low value thing, this low value. I don't want a low value woman. I don't want a low value man. Mr. Berger, I'm willing to bet a couple $1,000s that it's not men saying that, that's women. Let me say that again. Mr. Berger, I am willing to bet a couple $1,000s that men are not saying low value women. Women are saying low value men, though. I'm willing to bet it. Right? I'm willing to bet. Right? It's the women, sir. You know, and Chris Williamson pushes him a little bit and presses him a little bit when it comes to the conversation of hypergamy and college educated women. Chris Williamson is pressuring him, and he'll concede and then come back. He'll concede the point, and here we go again. It's the same thing that Dr. Richard Reeves said. It's the hope word. Oh boy. The hope word. When all else fails, when you hit him upside the head with the numbers, here comes hope. This is the same thing Anton kind of did with Boyce Watkins. It's the same thing Yvette Carnell did with Boyce Watkins. It's the same Dr. Richard Reeves, right? It's the same thing he said to Andrew Yang. And now Chris Williamson got John Berger to say it. Hope. Instead of being like, okay, look, the women ain't doing it. The women look at relationships and men through a conspicuous consumption lens, right? And they're not budging. Not enough of them anyway. And I say that's okay. But then there's consequences to that. Right? There's consequences to that. So all of a sudden, it's this whole, when you press, and we're talking macro right now, right? We're not talking micro, we're talking macro. When you, social math, this is where Z comes in. When you tell these people, okay, you know what? Capitalism plus feminism, advertising to these women since they were little girls, not just things, but lifestyle. You're pushing lifestyle to black girls, white girls, Asian girls, Latina girls, different various ethnicities and races of girls from childhood. And then you wonder why, when these women are adult, these girls are now adults, they're now women. They may have a college degree, they may not. They may have an advanced degree, they may not. And now they see men as nothing but walking ATM machines and status symbols. Right? They see men as nothing but walking ATM machines and status symbols. And instead of us addressing that part, not the insecure man part, but the insecure woman part, instead of us addressing that, that's when we start talking about hope. That's when we try to double and triple back to, well, the men, they feel insecure, but educated women and women that make money. Yawn. So this is a testament to the fact that feminism has so permeated our environment, particularly in the West, that even men, even heterosexual men, married men, single men, outside of like manosphere and red pill spaces, they just refuse to, or maybe don't know how to frame things without first seeing it through the feminist lens, which is a very biased lens, by the way. Right? They either lack the language, or refuse to use the language that speaks about, hey, these women have a certain way of viewing things, and the way they want to live and the lifestyle they want to live is hampering family formation first, these people coupling, then family formation, then childbirth, then child rearing. And on a micro level, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. On a macro level, when you start scaling that to hundreds of thousands and maybe millions, well, huh. So I get where John Berger is coming from. If I find it interesting that John Berger was speaking about, working at Fortune, seeing men that he works with doing well in their relationship and with relationships and intimacy, while the women, who arguably are more quote unquote kick ass than the men, struggle. Yes, it's called hypergamy. It's called hypergamy. Why is that so difficult to accept? Oh, that's why it's so difficult to accept. Because then you put more of the onus on the women. Uh-oh. Can't have that. Which is interesting because John Berger also, and this is where him and Chris Williamson, I thought this part of the conversation with John Berger and Chris Williamson was very interesting, where they're starting to speak about women having to make the first move. Oh boy. Right? Women having to make the first move. Wait a minute. I think there's another person who has said this before. Occupies the black manosphere? Huh. His alias online is named after a car. Yes, this is the new normal, ladies. Especially, as they said, post Me Too movement. Oh, yeah. So, Z, right? So, Z, are you saying that black women in all of their cringe are going to have to start approaching men? Yes. Even men that aren't white collar? Yes. And aren't ballers? Yes. And aren't white? Goddamn. Right? Z, are you saying that Simone Biles did it the right way? Ooh. Oh, are you saying that Simone Biles was ahead of the game? Uh-oh. Very interesting. Black women who pride themselves on being on the cutting edge of all these damn type of conversations, and yet they're behind the eight ball on this one. Uh-oh. Huh? The two white guys, your gods, are telling you you're going to have to do the approaching. Wait a minute. Black women already do some of the approaching for white men. Oh, goddamn, Z. Hmm? Yes, black women, in your infinite cringe, because of the environment, you're going to have to do the approaching now. Aren't you the ones talking about, oh, white women aren't told to settle? Isn't that what you say? Dear black women, isn't that what you say? Don't y'all want to throw up in y'all mouth when y'all hear about what's the lady, Jodie Turner Smith or Simone Biles? Whether they're approaching white men or black men, doesn't that make you want to throw up in your mouth when you find out? One of your favorite black women celebrities initiated contact with whatever boyfriend or husband, particularly the black husbands and boyfriends. Does that make you cringe? Welp, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. What did you think was going to happen after you quote unquote won? That's why my title is what it is. Now that you've won the gender conflict, y'all already know Mr. Z doesn't actually believe in this. I already said this. I already said what it really is in the black community when it comes to this gender war, especially the online gender war. But fine, for tonight, for argument's sake, let's go with it. Now that you won the gender conflict, now what? Huh? What now? College degrees? Check. Middle management titles and jobs? Check. Baby Benz and Tesla Model 3s? Beamer 3 Series? Audi A4? A3? I forgot. Y'all do SUVs now. GLC, GLEs, GLBs, right? Q3 and Q5s, X3 and X. Y'all really can't afford these new X5s. X3s, some X5s. Really can't afford that X7, right? Check, right? Luxury SUVs, check. Maybe you got a Tesla Model Y. Okay, check, right? Maybe you have your own condo. Check. Maybe you can afford your own apartment. All right, check. Maybe, possibly your own home. Okay, check. Right? Can pay for your own vacations, possibly. Check. Right? Credit score isn't atrocious. All right, cool. Check. Right? Doing well in your job, like we said, because you have the middle management title. You're upwardly mobile. Cool. Check. Day parties and brunch with the girls. Can afford it. No problems. Check. Some type of savings account worth a damn. Check. Man, uh-oh. And this is where T Noir and FD Signifier both look at each other like, I ain't gonna tell them that's patriarchy that they asking for. Me neither. Huh? Well, will you look at that? Hmm. And Decho says, baby Benz with a salvage title. Hey, Decho just get put y'all on game. Look, the little the quietest camp, and you see this a lot in South Florida. A lot of people are flying under the radar with these expensive ass cars because they're getting them salvaged, right? They're getting them either salvaged, and depending on your state, it's all labeled a little differently, or they're getting them rebuilt title, which drops the price significantly. And if you don't know, you won't know, right? If you don't know, you won't know. It happens in the black community, but it really, at least in South Florida, the Latino community, sometimes you see these Latinas, definitely the Latinos, driving around in some very expensive cars. Yeah, that's a rebuilt Title 7 series, right? The original owner had it for a year, crashed it, a severe accident too. And the Latino and his dad know the right people, and they brought it to the right shops. They bought the car that in the resale after a year would have still went for $50,000, and they got it for 25. Put 5, 6, 7 grand into it, and there you go. Detroit says happens in Cali. Yep. Right. So on the low, that's a little way. Sometimes you see people driving these Range Rovers, and you like, God damn, 7 Series, jeez. It's a little different with the plug-in EVs. It's a little different because of where the battery sits on the floor. So it depends. It's a little bit more difficult to with rebuilt titles for those, but your normal internal combustion engines, oh yeah. Especially if the frame wasn't bent, that car that would have been used at $45,000 and $50,000, all said and done, set them back 30, 28, $32,000. Right? Huh. So continuing. Between everyone being afraid, and when I say everyone, I mean most, being afraid to tell women, it's fascinating. All of these men, these are supposed to be men's men, and these are intelligent men and lettered men and well-spoken and educated men, and then you have the brawny brothers, white men, black men. Everybody is perfectly okay with telling men in general, black men specifically, how horrible they are and they need to step it up, and right. It's easy to wag your finger at men, particularly young men. Our society is just, that's the easy part. Women wag their finger at men wag their finger at men, young and old men. It's easy to wag your finger at men. But once it comes time to tell women, okay, okay, how do we tell her she's delusional without saying delusional? Oh boy. How do we tell her that we done rigged the game in her favor against the boys and the men for at least a good 50 years, at the least? How do we tell her that? Okay, how do we tell her that more than likely what she's imagining relationships are gonna be, or what she's imagining the dating scene is supposed to be like, is not what's gonna happen? How do we tell her that? Ooh, how do we tell her that? All of a sudden, everybody got to start walking light, right? What did they used to say a few years ago? Talk to me nice. Everybody got to talk to women real nice, right? What did FD Signify tell me? Yes, I'm trying to tone police you Negroes. So black men get called all type of nig cells. We get told to go touch grass, right? Get the incel, right? Insult just thrown at you. Dusty. Get on my level, all of this. But when it comes time to talk to women in general, black women specifically, about how, for the most part, this ain't gonna work. We've over-indexed on white-collar middle management women in white-collar spaces sitting in cubicles. We've made sure to push this to women for a good 40 years. Right? And those spaces and those environments are well suited for women, which means not so much for men, which means not so likely that you're going to meet men in those environments. meet men to date men to marry men, and have families with those men. Uh oh. So we can chastise the men all day, every day. We have the language for it, we have the verbiage for it. We're used to it. When it comes time to tell women, Mr. John Berger, when it comes time to call it what it is, not a sort of mating, classmate guarding, when someone brings up hypergamy to you and you start to cringe, uh oh. You know the beauty of social media and the internet? You know the beauty of having these conversations, the beauty of, quote unquote, well meaning white liberal men being able to splice and dice conversations in a way that's flattering to the women. You know the beauty of not having that as a filter anymore is that the women get to talk for themselves now. They get to type in their own comments. They get to speak into a microphone and on camera, and they're not saying none of this type of stuff that you saying, Mr. John Berger. Especially when they don't believe that people are really paying attention. The men are really paying attention, and they get to speak however they want to speak. They're not saying what you're saying here. All those men on the street interviews, especially coming out of nightclubs, whether it's white women, Latina women, black women, they're all saying the same thing. Give me the baller. We all seen that video. Give me the perk head, the perk head scammer. Uh oh. So when it comes time to speak to the women, because I hear what John Berger is saying about social media, dating apps. I hear him and how dating apps turn this into a store. Fine, cool. But Mr. Berger, this goes before that. This is way before that. This is also about television. This is also about our society telling women you can have it all at the same time. This is about telling women that anything that isn't the exact 100% of what they want, actually more, is them settling. This is all of that. This this happens far before women start interacting with online dating apps. This type of attitude starts far before this. This starts from when they're little girls, right? And to be honest, and being a little fair to the women, you can't socialize these women that the world revolves around them up until they're like 28 years old, 27, and now, by the way, it's time for you to get married and find a husband. What? Okay, fine. Let's be a bit fair to the women. So let me get this right. TV, social media, music, all mass media, the teachers, the influencers, their own mothers and fathers. The entire environment is telling her the world revolves around her. She can have whatever she wants, whenever she wants, however she wants. The college environment, everything. And then she turns 27, 28 years old. And it's like, okay, it's time to get married and you might have to compromise. What? You might not get everything on that scroll you call a list. That scroll that you call a list, you might not get everything on it. As a matter of fact, you'll be lucky if you get two-thirds of the things you're asking for. Of course, the women are going to throw a temper tantrum then. I didn't even say black women yet. Of course, the women are gonna throw a temper tantrum if you tell them, "Hey, you're extremely lucky if you get 8 out of 10, but more likely it's gonna be 2/3." Of course, they're gonna throw a temper tantrum. Of course, you're gonna say, "I'm not settling." Who wants to be with average anyway? Of course, the women are gonna say that because y'all lied to them, and now y'all afraid they're not gonna produce another 1 and 2 and 3 taxpayers for you because they're not coupling with men enough to have enough children, right? They're not coupling enough up with men to have long-term relationships or get married, to have children, to produce the next generation of taxpayers. And yes, a lot of that is environmental and societal, but a lot of that is because you lied to them. You lied to them. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Indigo Flow says baby Ben's tax. I'm telling you that, and if you see the majority of women that you see in luxury cars they're not driving the 7 Series because they can't afford a goddamn 7 Series. They can't. Not only are they not driving a 7 Series, let's be honest, they're not even driving a 5 Series. Yeah, you may see a couple in the X5. Okay, cool. You might see a couple of them in the X5. You don't see too many of them in X7s. You don't see them too, as much as they want that goddamn G-Wagon and Range Rover, you don't see them in that because they can't afford it. They can't even afford it secondhand, let alone new, and they definitely can't afford the maintenance on it. Right? When those air shocks go on that Range Rover, have fun. $5,000. If you don't believe me, ask Detro. Have fun when those air shocks go out on that Benz. That Benz S-Class, oh, it rides so smooth until those air shocks go out. You wonder why there's some, especially those early 2000s, 2005, 2007, 8 Benzes, the CLKs, no, not the CLKs, the CLs and the S-Classes. Y'all wonder why some of them, y'all see them, and you like, why that car so low? The airbags went out, the air shocks went out, and they can't afford to fix them. Some of those Range Rovers from around that same generation, like the 2009s, 2010s, 2012s, you wonder why you see them and they sit so low and then they're bouncing when they hit them because the air shocks went out and they can't afford to fix them. Huh? Leon said, Z, when those air shocks go out, she gonna have a man move in. Detroit said, facts. I'm telling you, that's what it is. So when I say baby Benz, I know what I'm saying. Go ahead and get you your little CLA, your little C class. And I'm not saying that to necessarily be insulting, not all the way. But once you start moving up to the E class and the 5 Series, the X5, not the X5, well, the X5 and the 535s and 540s. Well, they don't have 535s anymore. It's the 540 because BMW realized they were giving away too much horsepower. Right? That's why the 540 isn't an inline 6 anymore. It's a 4-cylinder. If you want the 6, now you got to go up to what, the 545i, I think it is? 550i? No, not the 550i, because that's the V8 that's under the M5. It's like the 540i M Sport or something like that. Because the old 535 was turbo, and you could put a couple of bolt-ons, and if you had a little bit of money, you could be right up there with the M5. You may not handle as good as an M5. Your fenders aren't as wide as an M5, but to the untrained eye, they can't tell the difference between an M5 and your 535i. And because you got the dual clutch, your transmission snap and crackles just like theirs. We call it the sneeze. That's dual clutch. You could use it. Just because you got paddle shifters does not mean you have dual clutch. For you non-car people, right? Huh. Show me says you're not lying because I just fixed mine on my 750 Li. I'm telling you. Earth said Corolla gang for the win. While you BSing, and you want to know the difference between men and women, Earth, is men aren't demanding that when we're driving a Corolla, the woman that we're with, she better pull up to us and ask us for our number in an Audi A6 at the least, right? That she better pull up and ask us for our number in an E-Class Benz at the least. If it's a coupe, right? The S-Class coupe, an E-Class coupe, right? We're not asking for that. Women are. Women will have a clapped out Kia Optima and tell you what they're not settling for. Dear Mr. John Berger, women will have a old ass Lexus RX 350 and demand you pull up to them and ask them for their IG or their number or their whatever, and demand you pull up driving a Range Rover. Benz Maybach GLS, Lamborghini Urus. It's really Urus, but Urus. Jake, stop it. Stop. Jake said, what about the 2015 souped up Altima Z? Oh, man. I'm telling you, because you know she did a hit and run in that car, right? She'll be talking about Altimas, Jake. You know she did a hit and run in that car. One of those days when she was coming back from brunch with the girls and she had one too many mimosas and she did a hit and run. And so her bumper hanging off barely. The back bumper is barely holding on, or the front bumper has road, the little rashes, not rash, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they scrape something, there we go, the scrape marks. But she got too close to a wall once. Thank you, Indigo. Dame drinking her ass off. So she did a little hit and run. Her Ultima looked like it's been in a couple of fender benders, but she's demanding that when you ask her for her number, that you pull up in a new Escalade. That's a $100,000 vehicle, right? You better at least pull up in a Scat Pack. That's $45,000 new at base, right? Huh. Leon over here making jokes. Leon got jokes. Leon said, "You drive a Nissan Altima when you have a baby. When you have side chicks, they can't find you." Well, I want to say baby. Let's read that again. You drive a Nissan Altima when you have side chicks, they can't find you for real. Thank you, Telescope. Busted some clips holding the front bumper. You know it. You know it. You look in your rearview mirror on the expressway and you see somebody's bumper flapping in the wind. Right? Jake said, I'm going to pull up in my Pagani BC. Them women wouldn't even know what to do with that. They wouldn't even know what to do. First of all, we're going to be able to hear you coming from how far away? And I'm saying all of this, and yes, I am tying to the subject matter. Women feel like they won. This also goes back to what Raj covered, the end of history, Francis Fukuyama. They feel like they won. But winning doesn't feel good now, does it, ladies? Like I said, y'all have the college degrees, the middle management titles, a couple of nice things. But what happened to that baller man that you were promised? No one literally said it, but it was subtly suggested. No one literally told you. They told you you're going to meet your Prince Charming. They said that to you. The movies and the television and the books and everything told you was going to meet the baller dude, but no one literally said it to you. They implied it. They suggested it. And now that you're an adult and you're earning $55,000, $60,000 a year, where is your baller? And we're not going to go all the way up to the men that could afford Bentley Bentegas and the Maybach GLS. We're not going to go all the way up there. We're talking about the Range Rover drivers, the Escalade drivers, not the Escalade V, the Escalade drivers. Right? We're talking about the people that can afford a Scat Pack. I didn't say Hellcat. The people that can afford a Mustang 5.0, no problem. That's light work. So $50,000 vehicles, light work. It don't even hurt them. $70,000, $80,000 vehicles, don't hurt them. I didn't go all the way to $200,000 vehicles. I'm gonna stop around 80. Escalades are more than that, but okay. You know, notice what Mr. Z did not bring up? I didn't talk about no trucks. SUVs that have the same frame as trucks, yes. I didn't say no trucks because y'all don't even understand that language. Y'all don't know the price of an F-250 right now, let alone an F-350. A GMC Denali, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know what the fully loaded Silverados are going for. I'm not even going to mention it. No point. Yeah, exactly. Better you. Corvette Stingrays. That we're going to stay around there. For a group of people that won, right? That supposedly won this, but yet they driving around in 10-year-old Lexus ESs, and you better believe they like them. They love them. They Lexus IS. Oh boy, how did Mr. Z not ever mention it? The Lexus IS. God damn. This is where all my Caribbean folks come in, especially us Haitians. Oh boy, the Lexus IS. Right? Jake says F-350 Platinum MSRP 78,000. Yeah, and that's before the markups. That's 80 grand before the markups. Right? Huh. So for a group of people that won, we see a whole lot of them driving around in 5 and 6-year-old Honda Civics. And by the way, if you're not into cars, that's okay. I'm using this as a metric to say, did you really win though? Right? Did you really win? You won. Right? John Berger is telling us that y'all are complaining. We know this. We hear it. I'm a black man. I hear this ad nauseum coming from black women. Fine. You're not going to settle. because you think you're doing something with your Tesla Model 3. Huh? Fine. Look at what it's cost you, though. Now that you've won, now what? Yeah, right? Now that you've won, now what? They're telling you how fierce it is. John Berger kind of had to he had to concede this. How fierce it is for the men, for women fighting for the men on top. Do you now understand why Mr. Z frames the things the way he does? I'm using the card talk to say y'all don't even really know what these things go for. It's chasing a particular lifestyle, and you don't even understand how much it costs. Shout out to the Roger Report for saying it. Y'all are not actually asking for six-figure men. You're asking for millionaires. You just don't know how to count, so you don't know that's what you're asking for. Sorry, demanding. You can't count. That's why you don't realize you're asking for millionaires. You're demanding, excuse me, demanding millionaires. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. That lets Z know. Right? How much are the base X5 going for? BMW X5. I didn't say X3. Right? Audis. Fine. What is a base A6 going for? We're talking about stuff that started what, 55, 60, $65,000? These are your litmus tests, ladies, especially black women. Right? These are the things that you use as signifiers that a man is doing well. Thank you. Jetty Bean said X5 going for $65,000. So in other words, an X5 cost more than what actually it's the same amount of what 2/3 of men in America earn a year. 2/3 of men in America will never earn more than $65,000 a year in their lifetime. And an X5 base, I didn't say the X5M, an X5, $65,000. Thank you, Jetty Bean. Before markup, the Ford Tour show, they don't even make them anymore. The SA show, they don't even make them anymore. Was pretty. The last generation was pretty dope too. All-wheel drive with 365 horsepower turbo. Same thing with the Fusion Sport last generation. They don't make those either. Right. Once again, we're using the cars and the prices to say something. And as a person that lives in South Florida, you will be surprised, even down here, how ignorant people are to the cars they see on the road. That it almost feels affordable because you see them so often. If you're not a car person, you might be deluded, be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save a little. But I'm telling you, you'll be earning, let's say, $75,000 a year. You have bills, mind you. You have student loans, but you'll see Ben CLSs so much you think you can afford it. right? You'll see F-350 so much you'll think you can afford it. Demetrius says, "Does Z want a Maybach?" And it's not even my speed, right? I mention them all the time because I know this is a thing for like black people, particularly a certain type of black people. They hear Maybachs, they hear Rolls Royce. I'm never gonna mention no Phantom or something like that. And once we start getting into the 400, 500, $600,000, I don't even mention those cars. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Like nobody's ever gonna own that. You might come to South Beach for a week or whatever, and one of your friends has ballerific money, and y'all rent one for a couple of days. That's the most. That's the closest anybody will probably ever get to actually driving one of those for real. Because even to rent those type of cars, you're looking at $2,000 a night, $2,000 a day. Once you start getting to the Lamborghini Urus and all these other cars, you're looking at $1,500 and $1,700 and $2,000 a day. Luxury car rentals, if you don't believe me, look it up. And I say that once again to emphasize, ladies, now that you've won, you have the middle management titles, you have the position, you might even be pushing a CLA Benz, a Tesla Model 3, right? How many women do y'all see driving around in Tesla Model S though? Uh-oh. Or the Tesla Model X. That's the SUV with the gull wing doors in the back. Huh? You see women, you even see some black women driving Tesla Model 3s. You even see some black women, one or two, driving the Model Y. That's the smaller Tesla SUV. But that Model S, though, I didn't say it in plaid. I'm not even going all the way to the plaid. And Telescope says most people have a better chance of owning the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile before owning a Maybach. And I'm not even going back to the Maybach that Rick Ross and Jay-Z them rap about. The 53 and the 62. One is to be driven when you get driven in. Right? Dell says only Asian women in the Bay Area are pushing Model X. Yeah. Because how expensive is the Model X? I didn't mention the Plaid Model X yet. For those of you that don't know, the Plaid is the super fast ones with like 1,000 horsepower. And they only have the Plaid in the S and the X. And they're some of the most, they're like among the fastest accelerating cars on the planet. Like a Tesla Model S Plaid will even leave a Bugatti up until about 100 miles an hour, give or take. But you better make sure it's not super cold. Uh-oh. Right? And Dreddy Bean says, Plaid X is $95K. Yes, that's before Elon gets his markup money. Well, that wouldn't be on Elon, would it? That's on the dealerships. Right? Because for real, they're actually, from what I'm seeing, Tesla, the Plaids, the S Plaid is really going for like 150, 140 something. Right? I'm sorry, it's 57. I'm sorry, you're right. Depreciation is wicked on the Maybach 57 and 62. I said 53. My apologies. It's 57. The 57 is the one you drive. The 62 is the one you get driven in. Right? And I'm glad where this conversation went, me incorporating the cars and their prices to emphasize that These women won, but y'all still don't know the prices of these things. You want to know why? Because you expect a man to pay for them. Oh, and that calling student loan debt too, huh? That $50,000, $60,000, $45,000, $40,000. If you're lucky, it's only $25,000. Only $25,000 in student loan debt. Telescope. You won't believe. Look this up if you think I'm lying. They made less than 600 Bugatti Veyrons. And Telescope says most people have a better chance of owning the Scooby Doo Mystery Machine before owning a Veyron. Some of these, look, rap music is it's in my top two favorite genres. Obviously, I'm black man, and I have no problem owning that I like black music, R&B, hip hop, rap, right? But rap really distorted people's understanding of exclusivity, right? And certain things are just super dumb rare. I know Ace Hood and T Pain got y'all. I woke up in a new Bugatti. Yeah, yeah, but or was it Future? Sorry, I said T Pain. Sorry, Future. Look, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, because T Pain used to own a Bugatti. That's why I thought about him. And there we go. And T Pain couldn't even. And this is the height of T Pain, mind you. He couldn't even afford to maintain the Bugatti. And there you go. Right? Yeah, the Lucid Air finally beat the Plaid with its one. What is it? One, two, three, four. It literally has 1,234 horsepower. Right. But as I was saying, I'm glad about this conversation, and that's what I was saying earlier. The exclusivity. There we go. Yeah, no, hip hop music really distorted our minds, black people's mind, black women's mind on how rare these things. And a few months ago, I was on Rogue's channel, and Black Uru and Raj were there, and Dre was there, Andre, um, and we were talking about and the Raj report was there, and we were speaking about Birkin bags and like how distorted, because you hear these rappers rap about these things, and some of these kind of more hip hoppy R&B singers speak about these things, and like it's distorted our minds on how rare these things are. That's why I brought up the Bugatti. Less than 600 on the planet. I didn't say in America, on the planet, right? Like Jay-Z and Rick Ross were speaking about the Maybach. Ross literally Maybach music, right? They stopped making the Maybach because it wasn't selling. It wasn't selling because the people that were going to drop 400, 500, $600,000 on these super huge luxury cars were buying Rolls Royces. They were not buying the Maybach, or they went down a step and bought the Bentley, the Flying Spur, or something along those lines. They were not buying the Maybach, although the Maybach was really nice. Jake said, I woke up in a used Bugatti. Hysterical. What's going on, Dr. Thunder? All right. And Demetrius says, Z, had to educate my class on who the Pinkertons, Rockefellers, and Fords really were. We have it's bad. The especially history of labor in the US, it's bad. People don't know. I even have to do some catching up. But when you realize that you have things that you have to work on or learn, and then you're speaking to other people and you're like, oh man, and I thought I was bad. You're like, I feel like I don't know enough, and I'm talking to you, and it feels like I'm a genius. The history of labor in the US and how that ties into, well, this conversation right here, right? And you could tie it to the car prices that we were just speaking about, and relationships and dating and mating and marrying. It literally all ties in, including the car talk, right? Better you said y'all go buy the Lucid Air. I own a stock in them, right? And Jake says, I can relate, Demetrius. People don't know what a robber baron is anymore. They don't, because we have them now. Goddamn Z. Jeff Bezos, anyone? Elon, anyone? They don't know. They think it stopped with Carnegie in them, right? And the DuPonts and whatever. They think it stopped. It didn't stop. You literally have them right now. Oh, and here's the kicker. The wealth disparity only grew. Uh-oh. Right? Meanwhile, these women are telling you what they're not settling for, and John Berger is trying to find really interesting ways of kind of softening what the women are saying. No, they saying what they mean. The women are saying what they mean, right? So we watch him in this interview with Chris Williamson, right? And Chris Williamson is pressing him, rightfully so, because he refuses to acknowledge hypergamy, and that's a real thing. And yes, women are still practicing it. And just like Dr. Richard Reeves, he refuses to acknowledge, look, yes, the money, absolutely. But this cross collar mating, sex, maybe. Marriage? And by the way, that's not on the men. I want to emphasize this. By the way, John Berger, the cross collar marriage and mating and dating, it's not on the men. That's on the women. That's on the women. Y'all trying to call it assortive mating, class mate guarding. And you can see that Chris Williamson was trying to press him on the, yeah, it's really, and yes, men want educated women. Yes. Not as much as women want educated men because of the status symbol, not because they really care whether he's educated or not. Because it's what it represents in this society. Okay, fine, understandable. But one of us is willing to budge on that far more than the other. And you just got to own that, Mr. Berger. Right? You just have to own that and what that means and what that looks like for our society. Not just the individual people that never coupled up because the women said they're not settling. No, you're also going to have to own what it looks like when we start scaling that and it becomes a macro problem, like now. Watching Mr. Berger speak about, yeah, you hear these men saying low value women and these women saying low value men. I'm like, wait. Are we doing we can't say it's just the women, so we're going to include the men? How many men are talking about low value women? What? So wait, the women are speaking about, excuse me, the men are speaking about low value women? That's not even how men talk. Definitely not black men. Low value women, what does that even mean? Especially for a couple of generations of men that you socialize not to necessarily be expecting or even wanting, a woman that cooks. Uh-oh, Z, did you just say that out loud? A woman that might fold some clothes? God damn, Z, what are we in the 1940s? 50s? So for a couple of generations of men that are not even expecting that, let alone wanting it, you're trying to say those men are calling women low value women? What would low value women entail? Would not having a college degree, not earning six figures, when men are telling women, oh, you got to earn six figures now? John Berger, stop. Stop. That's funny. Better use this. Hold up. So y'all don't get y'all girls at Dollar Tree? Right? Better you. Why black men always try to settle? We need to make a meme out of that. Right? White men aren't told to settle, while black men always told to settle. It's not fair. You know, Z went overseas, and the way the women treated me, I was worshipped. They worshipped me. Look how ridiculous that sounds the other way around. They were like, what did I do to deserve to be in your presence, king? You see how ridiculous it sounds the other way around? All these black women are colorist. So that's why I date out to white women. What? Uh, all these black women in colorism and featureism and texturism. So I'm going to date out to white women. So I can produce more light skin mixed biracial black boys. Yeah. No, I haven't checked it out yet, Dr. Thunder. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Dr. Thunder says, dude, you see my stream this morning? No, I'll check it out. Right? I saw that back when it first came out. Right? And Jake says, "Oh God, that black woman on Shan Body, Brody, anyway, show, was so dense. Like, ma'am, you slaughtered yourself to a bunch of Euro dudes. And you know what? In a different world, Z might have dated a woman like that. Right up until I found out, oh, wait a minute, we done do choo choo with white dudes." Not literally. I'm not saying she said that, but I mean, she pretty much kind of said that. But it's the look. Oh, how did she forget this? Oh, this is like one of the most crucial parts of what I wanted to say. Notice how much Chris Williamson and John Berger emphasize that the the companies behind these books want there to be a happy ending. You have to leave with some hope. You have to leave the reader with some hope and some positivity. I sit, and by the way, John Berger told you it's women buying these books. So let's do the math. Once again, we're doing the social math. 1 + 1 = 2. In other words, women are buying dating books and relationship books. We didn't even get into the novels. I'm not even going into the novels. Oh my God. They're buying dating books and these matchmaking books, and the authors of those books, researchers, people that are doing research on this, are being told, hey, you have to have something hopeful in there. It has to end on a positive note. And then you wonder why these women are so goddamn delusional. Right? You wonder why they're so delusional. Right? So back to Shan. Um, Look, isn't Shan the one that had that weird relationship with her baby daddy? Right? So, I saw that clip years ago when it first came out, whenever, but yeah, yawn. A bunch of black women complaining about the dating scene, of course, making subtle jabs at black men, but of course, right, talking about essentially opening their options, looking for love. Will this conversation never end? This is the song that never ends. Oh, it's as if these people are truly not students of history. They can't be. It's not possible, right? Oh God. Hey, what's that about negative liberty again, Z? Anyway, and Jake says, yeah, she's ethically non-monogamous. I know a few women who run in her circles, and they are spiritual thotty. Oh man. As I said, these people are not students of history because sexual liberation. Oh, that late 60s, 1970s sexual liberation that led right into super conservative Ronald Reagan era because it didn't work. I promise you. This is the song that never ends. Yo, these people can't be students of history. They can't. They can't. It's not possible. It's not possible that these people have ever read, or okay, fine, you're lazy. You want to watch something instead of read it. There's no way these people are watching anything worth a damn, any type of documentary worth a damn about anything historical. There's no way. It's not possible. It's not possible. Passport OG, you know what it is. It says it. Passport OG says, ethically non-monogamous. What the F does that mean? Holy ish. That means I'm not going to participate in the patriarchy and be in a monogamous, patriarchal, heterosexual relationship with a man where he can tell me, hey, you ain't wearing that. We're not going out. All right, we stay at home because or I'm going by myself. You're not wearing that. Who you talking to? You ain't talking to me like that. That the when once I read ethically, oh, that's it. Everything I needed to know. Once I read ethically, oh, what else do you need to know? Indigo, don't even play. Indigo says, Passport OG, they don't live with a boyfriend, they live with a nesting partner. First of all, they wouldn't even say boyfriend anymore, Indigo. You know they saying partner now, right? You don't even hear these people saying spouse anymore. What is that? Hysterical, Jake. I ain't even gonna read it out loud. Inaccurate. Passport OG, there go your next think piece. As ethically monogamous. It goes against my ethics to participate in the patriarchy. So I cannot engage in heterosexual monogamous relationship because that's part of the patriarchy. Right? Anybody want to say village wife? Where's BGS when you need them? Man. Exactly, Indigo, my person. Let's just say Z had to check that. I had to check it. I know you're just using it because that's what they're using now, but I want you to understand where this language is coming from. Right? Let's just say this language is not coming from people that play for a different team. These people play for the same team. Are you sure that's the language you want to be using? By the way, I do not appreciate it. Only had to say it once. I should be Leon. I should be doing a panel on Friday. That's the goal. So definitely you could bring that up. And Leon says, Z, that's a thing where can I have to have a conversation about higher class people using partner or the word egalitarian? Yeah, yeah, we definitely got to speak about that. Let's try shooting for Friday for that one, right? Mm. Exactly. It's vicious out here. We have women basically asking us to share our sandwiches with the next man. Isn't that's essentially what it is, right? Yeah, y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. It really is just look, man. I don't want to follow none of these rules and these norms and these. It is when you listen to some of these people talk and you hear it from Amanda Seals, someone else said Tracy Ellis Ross. They think they're ahead of the game. The way they look at us as like these old fossils, right? Who are attempting to engage in this archaic, old, oppressive, misogynistic um structure called nuclear family, right? That's what they think. Like they look at us like we're trying to hold, especially men that engage with the manosphere, particularly black men in this case. They look at us like some old, like sexist, misogynistic men who are real, and that's why I say it the way I do. They really think we're trying to make women barefoot and pregnant, right? And so they think like they're on the cutting edge. And I'm not saying Amanda Seals is all the way where Shan is, but I am saying they follow a continuum. That's why Amanda Seals could come out her mouth and say, now Tracy Ellis Ross is somewhere in the middle. But that's why Amanda Seals could come out of her mouth and say it's pretty much a shame that the world doesn't produce this society doesn't produce the type of men that would appreciate her. That's it. That's an insane comment to make. Then you have Tracy Ellis Ross, who essentially was speaking as if, you know, she's different. She's on the cutting edge right? Of this kind of new way of doing things, and so it might just lead for her to her not having a man. Then you have Shan all the way, on the fringes, but it's the fringes for now. Speaking about ethic, ethically, there we go, non-monogamous. And Mr. Berger wants to what? It's do what with this? Make a wife out of this? Dr. Umar Johnson wants us to make a wife out of this? What? Right? It's absolutely insane. A split gym says, I gotta read this one now. A split gym says, I hate that my person partner ish. Man, look, man, I'm not joking. I really had to have a conversation about this, right? Because I know it wasn't coming from it just was. It was coming from a naive place. But yeah, no, I had to have a conversation about this because the cool lingo or the lingo that's in vogue right now. Shout out to the group in vogue. The lingo that's in vogue right now. If you really not paying attention and interrogating what you're really saying or what you're participating in or what you're encouraging by using this same language, you really won't understand how you're forwarding something you may not even actually be a part of or not be an advocate for. When you say person instead of boyfriend, when you say person instead of my man, when you say person instead of spouse, who are you actually saying this to not offend? Uh-oh. Whose language are you actually adopting? Whose framing are you actually adopting? Jake says cutting edge of what? Over volume cooler. Oh, right. All right, Jeff Brown, hysterical. Right. I know he's not the only one that says it, but every time I hear it, I just think about Jeff Brown. Yes, Zoe Williams, Jeff Brown, the comedian Jeff Brown. Right. Right. Oh man, a split gym dropped a big old 50 just to say I gotta leave it up for a little while. Just to emphasize, look, Z, I hate my partner person is look, man, once I'm like my partner. Because like we heard people saying partner, but now they're saying my partner more and more. Like it's seeping down from those environments where it first started to now like straight people saying this now. Women. Right? But the partner thing, I was a bit used to. So, but once they started saying person, I'm like, oh, but now we're saying person, my person. It don't even sound right. My partner, we know what it really is, but like that, okay. But phonetically, my person doesn't even sound right. My partner, because we understand the business terminology and whatever. Okay, that at least phonetically it sounds right. But my person doesn't even sound right. Right. So like once again, who are we attempting to not offend by using this? My person? What? But okay. Yawn. Indigo says, I don't want to sound like these people. I'm cooler than all of them. Right? Better you says, hello, my fellow persons. How do you do? Man. Lion says, I'm actually fine with my person. I'll take that over partner. It still equals the same thing. It's the same people pushing that type of lingo. Yeah, that type of lingo. There we go. Right? Exactly. The people that it offends are the people that use the word heteronormative. If y'all never heard heteronormative, congratulations, you're not running in the same circles as me and Leon. That's number one. And it is what you think it is. Heteronormative has to do with the environment in society being literally heteronormative, like the majority of people aren't heterosexual. They would even debate that. They would debate that the majority of people are socialized to be heterosexual, namely the majority of women. I'm kidding you not. If you don't believe me, ask Leon. This is a real thing. This is a real thing. But if you listen to the type of stuff I listen to, and if you run in the same circles, heteronormative is a real thing. They really use it. It's a real term. Oh my God. And yes, it means what you think it means. Right? Man. Jake said, I've heard it and it's whack. I'm telling you. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And Lion says, I don't hear my person nowhere near as often as I hear partner. Yeah, no, you're right. And look, Leon's laughing because he knows it's true. And our spaces, we're not, by the way, this is not even like solidly, we're not talking about like centrist left leaning people right now. We're talking about like closer to the fringes of the left. Oh yeah, they're using heteronormative all over the place. It give it a few more years. If the current environment remains the same, it'll leak into more normal language, and straight women will be using this to be a bit self-deprecating in the presence of LGBTQ folks. They do it now. You're watching women, straight women, low-key apologize for being straight. Amanda Seales kind of did it in that interview, the one I covered a few days ago. But she said it. LGBTQ women are like, hey, come over here. And she's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it. You're low-key apologizing for not being attracted to women. Why? What, Mr. Z got to apologize for not being attracted to men? On what planet? But that's what y'all get. Dear women, black women in specific, that's what y'all get. Y'all keep on playing patty cake with this, and they're pushing y'all further and further. Ha! They're pushing y'all further and further. And that's what y'all get. Y'all keep on playing with this. Right? Oh, I gotta check it out. We might be coming with a review. And by the way, yes, you guys, I see all of your emails. As a matter of fact, I went down and I just emailed a bunch of people back earlier today. So I hope y'all got y'all emails. Leon, I checked out the emails. Everyone that's emailing me links, articles. I'm reading them. I'm watching them. Yes. Thank you for keeping me informed. That's why I have my email address in my description box. Thank you very much. Yeah. And by the way, it don't even have to just be man woman thing. Anything y'all think I should check out anything y'all think. Obviously, y'all know I'm politically engaged. Anything that's going on, y'all want me to check out, you might want me to review. Let me know in the email that you want me to check it out and possibly review it. I'm all ear, well, all eyes, I guess, all ears, but I'm all eyes. Yeah, yeah. Y'all already know. And KMS says I had to click this now because the orange, the orange is in my face, right? So in KMS says, and thank you for the super chat. And once again, thank you, Split Jim, for the super chat. So, a Split Jim said, "Look, man, I'm gonna drop a whole 50 for this because I gotta read this one more again." And Split Jim says, "I hate that my person partner ish, man." I told, look, yeah, like I said, I had to have a conversation about this, and it wasn't nothing, it wasn't nothing serious, but it was still like, look, I'm not comfortable with this, and do you know what you're saying and where it comes from, right? And KMS says the irony that the same people who use quote unquote person and partner tend to treat men as human doings instead of human beings, yet are shocked that men are becoming human goings. That's funny. That's funny. Somewhere else with passport in hand. Look, sometimes when I read you guys' comments, y'all know how well y'all clearly read. Also, so there's the way you read where you literally skim over and then read it out loud. For this is for us that read out loud, right? So you skim over real quick and then you read it. And I suggest that for all of you that don't read out loud, like clearly Z does, and other people when we're reading your comments out loud. I suggest you do that first because you won't trip over your words so readily, but or so easily, better yet. But when y'all see me bust out laughing middle of reading something, it's because I didn't skim over it first. I'm just reading it out loud the first go around, and so like when I get to a word and I just bust out laughing like what I did with KMS, it's because I didn't actually skim over it at first. So that's why I'll laugh and be like, that's funny because that was funny. Exactly. And let's read that part again. The irony that some people use quote unquote person and quote unquote partner tend to treat men as human doings. Well, let's read that again. Quote unquote human doings instead of quote unquote human beings, yet are shocked that men are becoming quote unquote human goings somewhere else with passport in hand. It's funny because it's true. Thank you, Jake. KMS, we want wives, not bitter partners. The men who left are leaving. Look, and once again, thank you, KMS, for the super chat. Look, let's emphasize that. This partner language, this is another reason why Mr. Z is a lefty. This partner language is straight out of corporate America and the LGBTQ community because the way they use it. No, absolutely not. I keep on saying it. I am not into men, number one, and I'm not into white economist men, number two. I don't want a man, and I definitely don't want a white economist man. This partner talk is definitely some Frederick Hayek, Milton Friedman type stuff mixed with some LGBTQ type stuff. I'm straight. I mean that literally and figuratively. Right? I don't have to make this an LGBTQ bashing session. I'm saying, as a heterosexual man, why are heterosexual women using economists and LGBTQ language? Remember, these are the same people that are so quick to imply, suggest, and outright say that you're LGBTQ, and they use that as a pejorative directed particularly to straight men. Why are heterosexual women using white economists and LGBTQ language, black women, when you claim to want black men for you non-swirlers and divestors? And Jake says, partner is code for work slave. I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Thank you, Passport OG. Want a partner, but mad at 50-50, huh? and this is the interesting part, Passport OG. But this is when they start. It's very interesting how the left leans into traditionalism when it suits them. This is when they start saying, "But she's the one who's going to carry the children." So low key, they're saying you earning more is you paying for not being the child bearer. Wait a minute, what? You earning more and paying more is you making up for not being the one who supposedly cleans the home more or takes care of the children more or does the chores around the house more. Wait a minute, that sounds real traditional. Wait, what? Indigo sounded like Corey Holcomb. Corey Holcomb said that's between you and God, right? And Leon says, and thank you for the super chat. And once again, KMS, thank you for the super chat. And Leon says, let's get back to it. And Leon says, heteronormity, Z, you heard it a million times. You said it a few times. Heteronormativity, there we go, geez. Partner, etc., is, and partner, etc., is based in class and the caste style. Most men don't understand that masculinity and femininity is defined differently. We got to talk about this on Friday. We got to. Right. So y'all already know, usually I start my streams on Mondays and Fridays when I do streams on Mondays and Fridays around 2:40-ish. And then I let people up a little bit later than that. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Compassionate said, bring on the artificial wombs since we play in those games. I promise you the same feminists are going to try to block it. I promise you. This is tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, maybe not so much. Because where's the leverage after that? It's over after that. And you still, I want to be very clear, you still ain't going to get the majority of women that still want to eat vagina. They're not. They're not. And mean, nameless, roguish, Black Uru, who else was there? Charles, Kev from Black Men Being Brutally Honest. A couple years ago, we had this conversation. Men's entry to not only happiness but just being okay is so much lower than women. We can deal with a sex robot. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm saying if it's real enough, 75% there, maybe even 70% there, we're good to go. Men in general. Women, on the other hand, it's not the same. I would argue it's not the same. That's number one. Number two, if you make prostitution legal and there's artificial wombs, it's a wrap. It's over. Game, set, match. It's done. Checkmate. Right? Because it's easier for us to be content. Right? Our bar isn't that high. Men in general, black men specifically. Right? Have fun, women. Particularly like solid middle class women. Oh, it's over. It's over. Elite women will still get married within their class. Poor women are going to be out here for everybody. But you middle class women, white, black, Latina, oh, it's a wrap. It's over. If you were to make prostitution legal, these are the things. Make prostitution legal, have a male pill, right? And artificial wombs, it's done. It's done. By the way, Mr. Z doesn't know how much I'm gonna advocate for these things. If you think we're atomized now, shoot. If men could have children on their own terms, right? Excuse me. If men could have children on their own terms, have affordable ish sex, right? Have a male pill. Oh, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. And Passport OG says 3-year contract to carry and breastfeed my child with both custody issues. Man. And once again, Leon, thank you for the super chat. But yeah, we have to have that conversation Friday, right? That's the goal. That's the plan. Sequential mating equal choo choo train now? What are you telling me? What are you saying, Passport OG? Right? Man. Jake, why they BSing? If this is what y'all want, ladies, let's go all the way there. I let me say this again because I keep on saying it's not sustainable. I mean that socially, it's not sustainable. I do not believe in us creating an environment where the wealthy get to not just the money. They get to have nuclear family with biological real women, get married, stay married, have real children the old fashioned way. And yes, those men are going to be piling around and cheating on their wife with women further down with uh, probably some of these Matrix esque Matrix esque robots and Ghost in the Shell robots and stuff like that. Yes, the women of those classes are going to be engaging in the same thing, but they're going to stay married. They're going to have real biological children in wedlock, and we're going to turn this into the women further down from them are going to be the ones that are engaging in all different type of things. Same thing with the men. No, absolutely not. Right? It's not just the money. Right? Man, what movie was that? Was it a movie or was it a series? Was a series? It's not a Elysium. What? Because I watched it years and years ago, where like these wealthy people lived in like these at the top of like they pretty much lived in the clouds, right? And like everybody else lived down here on the ground, and there was a family where the husband and wife were beefing, and they practically screwed each other over. Somebody else watched the same thing I'm watching, and y'all know what I'm saying right now. I can't remember what the name was. But yeah, that's what I foresee. That's what. Thank you. It was Elysium. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Elysium. Elysium. I'm saying, and I just y'all know I always like to say this. And if that's average people that are not black, what does that mean for black people? Right? Was it Altered Carbon or was it Elysium? Because I watched Altered Carbon too. I might be getting all this stuff mixed up. No, but Altered Carbon, no, I don't think it was Altered Carbon. I think it was Elysium. Yep. Right. Man. Hit flicks. Hey, hit flicks says is Elysium with Matt Damon and Jodie Foster. And thank you. Same premise. The rich people were mortal and they lived in the sky. Thank you. That's why I'm getting them mixed up because I saw both, right? Which lets you know, hey, look, tinfoil moment here, tinfoil moment. This is what they're working on, and we know it, and we know it. I'm saying, and the ladies aren't making it any easier because they're with the ish. They're with the ish. So on that note, y'all, look, Mr. Z is gonna get a good ass fussing out because Mr. Z should have been at the crib over an hour ago. Ooh, I'm about to get fussed out. Rightfully so. Right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And exactly. And Jake says the husband and wife beefing was part of the conflict in Altered Carbon. Elysium, Matt Damon was trying to save himself and some girl. Okay, so Altered Carbon was the one with a wife and okay, 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 okay. That's okay, okay. Jake says, go home. Get off, Z. Right. So on that note, look at that. You see that? But you let them tell it. Y'all supposed to be like, no, F that. See, we the black men that people imagine, including black women, is fascinating because I don't know how often I run into those black men. Whether that's online, whether that's in person in real life, the black men that people imagine, once again, including black women, I don't know how often I meet those black men. These caricatures of black men, I don't know how often I meet them. Well, so we'll call that Z going way off topic, way off. So on that note, y'all, that just happened. We will pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We originally we're talking about John Berger in his interview with Chris Williamson, um, and then we obviously Z brought up cars and the prices of cars to emphasize that these women don't know what the hell they're talking about prices and life and lifestyle, using cars and the prices of automobiles as an example. And then we ended up going sci-fi for a minute. And there you go. And speaking about class, which is a theme on my channel, because I do see this as a class conflict. I own it, I admit it, and if it's tinfoil hat of me, so be it. Yeah. So on that note, y'all, love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere. Oh, see, said it wrong. We will pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content and other non-Manosphere content for the love of God. And y'all have a great, great, great rest of y'all night. And I gotta read this one more again before we go. But the Split Gym says, I hate that my person partner ish. Right? And KMS says, because I gotta read these two because these two has just killed me. The irony of the same person who used person, quote unquote, and partner, quote unquote, tend to treat men as human doings, quote unquote, instead of human beings, quote unquote, yet are shocked that men are becoming human goings, quote unquote, elsewhere with passport in hand. I'm saying. I had to say those again. And y'all have a great, great rest of y'all night. All right, y'all. Z out.